Yo, what's up? It's Jin from Inner Work, and Jin, your spiritual friend here in this video. And I'm gonna start the video off by that the more you heal, the more you feel, you know. So the more trauma that you go into, the more inward you go and visit all these inner parts of yourself, and the more you release them, the better you feel, you know. And this is a life hack when it comes to a lot of things, like relationships, friendships, when you're just doing your work, you're working, you're sitting by yourself, you're in solitude, but also when it comes to traveling, and then I'm gonna take off from this video. And basically it is like when I went to India, I could feel people more, I could just feel all these impulses or everything much more to a higher degree than I normally would have done. Because before I was more clogged up with trauma, I was overthinking, I was much more in my head, and then I was never really present. So I couldn't really feel and tap into and connect with people, Because for example, I traveled to Madrid and I really didn't connect with anyone. Like I didn't have the courage, and I couldn't really, I didn't have the courage to go up to anyone. That's one thing, and I just couldn't connect further with people, It's just like very, very, there was just small talk, there's no more depth in it, right? But when I started to wake up, I started to connect further with people, even people that I've just met. I could connect further with them. I couldn't do it before, but now in India it was a bit different because I could feel people much more, So it's a travel hack. And what do I think about these people? I think Indians are generally, they're very accommodating, smiling. They are generally not shy, and they even look for eye contact. They want to connect with you, especially when you, like, of course, when you're a foreigner, they hear different language, they hear different ways you speak. They're even more interested, But so some of them are very sociable. Like you talk with them, and they're like, they really want to help you out. They're like, hey, take my number if there's any problem, and they even initiate conversations. I even got approached, it never ever happens, So there was one of the first few days I was in India. I was sitting down, I was waiting for my mother because she was doing some shopping, and then a guy comes up to me, sits next to me, and then we just start talking. It's unbelievable. In the middle of the day, no substances, like no, you're not influenced by anything, So that is one cool thing about India, that they are sociable. They're not shy. You can talk with them and stuff like that, So that's what I really like about Indians. And you can always find people to chat to. Of course, there's also a fair number of people that really doesn't, they just don't want to chat. Maybe they're shy. Maybe it's because of the English. Maybe it's because they're just not interested, But all in all, very open-minded, nice people, But also depends on who is it that you talk to, For example, in the streets, for example, me and my mother, sometimes we had to ask for help. Sometimes I'm just like putting my lap off there, and then talking. Guys, obviously, much more approachable, much more sociable than females are. And I think because females are more careful about strangers, which makes sense. They don't want to meet somebody with faulty agendas, and yeah, they just want to protect themselves more. Guys are in lesser risk. So yeah. So, for example, because for me the trip was a mother-son trip. So I stayed most of the time with my mother, but I also did my fair share of socializing around. And I would say that socializing with guys were just much easier, They just open up like this. With females, they were more closed off, even in group settings. Female, like, there's a group of people, like guys were just that much opener. Yeah, so I'm trying to place Indians when it comes to socializing. Like, most of them you can talk with, you can socialize with, they will open up, but then and they can even approach you. They can even invite you to approach them, because they're not ashamed of looking at you. They're not ashamed of keeping eye contact. So they're much more sociable compared to somebody from Northern Europe or an European in general. But especially somebody from Northern Europe. Um, but at the same time, I would say that even though when it comes to females, they're more protective of themselves. They're more, they protect themselves much more, much more. They're more conservative. And can also be a bit arrogant. It depends on where you go, because, for example, in Delhi, I went out in the night, I went out in the late hours, and there was this nice protected area in front of a nightclub, and then I just started to chat up with people, and then guys were just some of the guys, the Delhi guys are they're not even them are the easiest, but the females are just really, really, the Delhi people from Delhi, when it comes to females, were just quite hard to get into. Even though the English was there, it's they're more nationalistic, but maybe it's also in the culture that the strangers is just they don't. I didn't have the feeling that they were super welcoming when it came to foreigners, strangers. And even though I said hey, what's up guys, how's it going, I'm from Denmark, there was nothing really, but with some there were, if it's outsiders outside of Delhi, then there was this yeah. So what is the general conclusion on Indians? With all that said, and the majority of them are open, it was not it was the very fewest of them that I would hang out with. Because I talk with them, I see, okay, they're nice, they're bubbly, they're okay, but there's this substance that I miss, whoa, okay, I want to hang out with this guy, I didn't have that, because there's this vibe that just misses out, and I cannot stop comparing it with the East Africa. When I went to East Africa, even South Africa, you met these nice, cool, it's just a different vibe. The vibe is just very, very different, and you want to hang out with them, you crack up. It's they're more open, But other than that, Indians are very helpful, very hospitable, very accommodating, always want to help you. Really nice people, go out there for yourself and experience it, And also it depends on where you meet people, because if you meet people in the bigger cities, they are more, they're harder to, they're more busy, they can tend to be more arrogant, which is normal everywhere else, everywhere. But then when you go to the smaller places, people are just more smiling and more happy and stuff like that, So I would say definitely, if you have a thought about going to India and really meet these beautiful people, go for it, go for it. That's just what I wanted to share about Indians. Cool people, nice people, sweet people at the end of the day. Nice.